Okay, some closing remarks and a brief slideshow from me now. I think we've heard a lot today from our speakers, all of our speakers, about the laboratory's historical accomplishments in physics, the relationship of those accomplishments to a number of factors, including forefront facilities that the lab has excelled in producing over the decades. You can go outside, if it were nice, and see the past, the present, and the future just in a few facilities that were mentioned here today: the graphite reactor, which we're currently in the process of decommissioning; RIC, which is finished its 11th year of running and is continuing to make outstanding physics; and the National Synchrotron Light Source, which we're building as a replacement for NSLS, which Marty spoke about, and which will take us to a new level in many fields, some of which you heard about prizes in chemistry from the old light source, and also nanoscience. So I wanted to try to, with a few slides here, extend and broaden a bit this illustration of the historic arc of the laboratory from the past to the future, and illustrate that with examples not only from physics, and I'll go quickly over the past contributions in physics since we've heard about them, but also talk about some other fields as well. So that's more or less what I said. And here are, so starting with nuclear and particle physics, we've seen these folks and these machines already and heard about them, the Nobel Prize winners, the neutrino helicity, and both weak and strong focusing synchrotrons. If you look to the current generation of work with nuclear and particle physics facilities, you see a couple of things. One is the work at RIC, the two big detectors there shown on the left, their event displays in the middle, and I could spend the rest of the day talking about the physics accomplishments of the experiments at RIC. But I also wanted to show you in particle physics something that Nick mentioned, that Brookhaven goes where the exciting science is, even if it's not at one of our own machines. And so illustrated here is the ATLAS detector at the Large Hadron Collider, and the recently activated Diabei neutrino experiment in China, where we're looking to measure an important parameter, a mixing angle in the neutrino sector. Oh, sorry. Looking to the future, we have aspirations in all of these areas and more in nuclear and particle physics. So illustrated here is a diagram indicating the evolution of RIC into an electron-ion collider that we believe is the next step for a study of quantum chromodynamics at high energy. A cartoon of the Large Synoptic Survey Telescope that Nick mentioned, where many topics in astrophysics and cosmology can be studied, including trying to unravel the mystery or contribute to the quest for unraveling the mystery of dark energy. And at the bottom, work that we're doing on detectors for the long baseline neutrino experiment that we hope to do someday in a large underground detector far from Fermilab, where a neutrino beam will originate. Moving to condensed matter physics, looking at the past here, we've heard from Marty today about the Chasman green lattice that was first used at the National Synchrotron Light Source and is now the world's template for dozens of such machines and all over the world, providing beams of photons from the infrared to X-rays for all kinds of work in material science, structural biology, and many other fields. And the high-flux beam reactor and the graphite reactor that Bob mentioned at the beginning. At the present, our focus is in a number of areas. There's a picture here of the light source and the nano center, two important facilities for our work in this area, not only for our work, but as very large user facilities for the larger scientific community. Thousands of people per year come to the National Synchrotron Light Source to do their work. Hundreds of people are starting to come to our new Nano Center every year to work with us on various aspects of nanoscience. We have a special love for and expertise in the study of superconductivity and high temperature superconductivity, among many other topics that we pursue. Looking to the future, our interests lie in a number of different directions that are based on the expertise I just mentioned. One is actually in the electric grid, upgrading or smartening the grid for the future of the distribution of electric power here in the state of New York and throughout the world. We hope to develop new technologies and new approaches to that, including the ability to store large amounts of energy at the grid scale as a component of integrating renewable energy into the grid. This is an illustration in the center of a very high field superconducting magnet that could be a component of a magnetic superconducting magnetic energy storage system that we are currently working on, and it shows the involvement of our particle physics, nuclear physics, and accelerator science in some of our energy research and development. The high field magnets are a key to this particular approach. Improved methods of making catalysts coming out of our nano science work. This little illustration on the upper right, hard to tell what that is, but I'm telling you it's a bimetallic nanoparticle catalyst that has much greater efficiency per unit of precious metal than standard solid platinum catalysts, and also longer lifetime. And at the bottom, with regard to renewable energy, we're hosting on site here and will use as a research capability in the future the construction of a very large conventional, that is silicon-based solar power plant that is being built here to provide power to the Long Island Power Authority, but it's going to provide data to us and an opportunity to become very involved in the system questions of including renewables on the grid, especially in a region where, if you notice today, it's not always bright and sunny out. Moving to life sciences, looking at some of the long history of life sciences here at the lab. There's a picture of a PET scanner, a very early PET scanner. I want you to keep that picture in mind for something I want to tell you later. So development of instrumentation coupled with the development of radio tracer chemicals that are positron emitters that enable PET scanning in biological systems. That's a picture of Joanna Fowler in the center, one of the co-developers of one of the first really important positron emitters for PET imaging. And also to remind you that we developed here at the lab many years ago a treatment for Parkinson's disease, L-DOPA. Looking at what we do now, it's the application of radio tracers and PET scanners to various kinds of medical research, including understanding the roots of addiction, the adaptation of these techniques to imaging plants where there's not much mental activity going on, but there's a lot of interesting information that will have direct application to the development of biofuels. And also at the bottom, an illustration of some very recently announced work on understanding the mechanisms by which enzymes desaturate fatty acids, an important breakthrough in the understanding of enzymes, and that can lead to custom engineered enzymes in the future. Looking to the future, there's a picture here on the left of a rat brain, its structure, a cartoon showing its structure, overlaying a PET image of it. If you think back a couple of slides to that very large and unwieldy wire-covered PET scanner, Imagine a PET scanner that is so small that you could actually put it on the head of an awake animal like a rat and have that rat walk around doing whatever rats do, and then studying the neuroscience associated with that, not on an anesthetized animal, but on an awake animal. Well, thanks to the confluence of work in the medical department, the physics department, and the instrumentation department, to pick up on a theme that Nick mentioned, we have such a PET scanner now, a fully functional PET scanner that is small enough for a rat to wear on its head. And it will enable advances in neuroscience, and it's where instrumentation and our skills with miniaturization of detectors and readout electronics comes to bear on medical applications. Also, future work involves further work in structural biology. Structural biology produced those 2 chemistry Nobel Prizes at the National Synchrotron Light Source, and with the new light source we will have greater capabilities in that area. And also developing systems biology, trying to integrate and create a knowledge base for biology that will enable next steps in a variety of life sciences and bioenergy-related fields. Environmental sciences. In the past, Brookhaven's been instrumental in developing the free air carbon enrichment experiments, so-called FACE experiments, to study the effects of heightened levels of CO2 on field-sized populations of plants, and also in the ARM program, making measurements in the atmosphere. In the future, in the current, this is seen in our work in the understanding the effect of clouds on climate and the effects of aerosols in the atmosphere on climate. And in the future, further developments of atmospheric sensing tools and the application of supercomputing to climate modeling, both global and regional. I wanted to spend a couple of slides talking specifically about the chain of activities from discovery to deployment, and this crosses a number of different fields, to show you that an aspect of our work is increasingly to look at how our discoveries here can benefit society and the economy. So we're interested in how some of our discoveries make it into the marketplace. Here's some elements from the recent past. A gene expression system developed in the, that's Bill Studier, developed in the in the biology department and has been a licensing success for the laboratory. In the center, Tom Butcher's work on more efficient oil burners sounds like a low tech, but if you look at its economic benefit over the last 20 years, it's also its environmental effect in making more efficient oil burners, and many people in the Northeast use oil to heat their homes. It's been phenomenal. It's been tens of billions of dollars in saved energy costs by homeowners, and tens of thousands of megatons of avoided carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And another example, a red blood cell labeling kit from our recent past. More recently, I mentioned bimetallic nanocatalysts earlier. We are learning how, with in partnership with industry, how to make this into a commercial quantities to scale it up so that it actually can be used in applications. We've also taken our work in superconductivity to the point of helping to develop the technology for second generation high temperature superconducting cables, which are under test as in the grid here on Long Island, and also the use of some detector technology originally aimed at homeland security applications, but found other applications in cancer diagnosis. For the future, there are a number of areas in our nanoscience portfolio that look like they can lead to two applications of societal benefit, one being the development of low-cost photovoltaics through nanostructuring of the manufacturing process, Another is learning how to teach nanoparticles to self-assemble into useful structures by activating them with synthetic DNA, and some drug development as well. So that's a quick run through a broad array of fields in which we have history, we have activity, and we have aspirations for the future. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your attention.